Sierra Network is an AI-based defense network that is wrapped around the planet, and it's been here for pretty much forever. It uses 3 layers of sphere architecture, and it's responsible for many paranormal effects, including poltergeist activity. And you can see the Type 1b formation right here, and this is the Type 2.
Okay, and they're illuminated because
they're powered up. They're ready to go. Yeah.
They're ready to do what? What exactly does go mean? Fire a directed energy weapon?
Possibly, yeah.
Oh my god. And now it blew up, and it's in outer space, and it's no longer there.
So this was taken over Florida, and again, you can see the Type 2 and the Type 1b formation right there. So the Type 1's here, and the Type 2 is taken off a cruise ship. This was over Barcelona. And then here you've got multiple examples of the same thing, all over the world, all different times.
They're always in this formation?
Always in the same formations.
Do you speculate that the United States government, or at least some faction of it, is completely aware of this system?
A friend of mine was in 30 East Drive. He was laying on the sofa. He said there was a big flash, and he opened his eyes and he saw a woman standing and looking over him, and she was in uniform. We did a search on the uniform, and it was Space Force.
So what does that mean? Wait, hold on. What does that mean?
I think Space Force is well aware of it, and I think that they probably work in tandem with them. We were filming in this tunnel. Some of the sensors went off. We saw something like a figure. What looks to be like a large grey kind of guy with big teardrop eyes. And he walks up to the strobe, looks down, looks at us, and carries on walking. The problem is because we live on the surface and we produce all these high energy emissions that are going into space, we are announcing where we are exactly to trillions and trillions of solar systems with trillions and trillions of planets. And all it takes is one of them to say, oh, you have something we want. The odds are against us.
The dark forest theory.
Yeah.
Hi, Patrick from Germany here. In July 2013 in Germany, near the French border, around 10:30 at night, my partner and I saw a massive pitch-black triangular craft that just descended and stopped just 10 meters or 30 feet above us. It had 3 bright lights, made no sound whatsoever, and seemed to paralyze us. We couldn't move or react, and the triangle then, after performing a sharp zigzag movement, shot off into the sky, just leaving streaks of light behind. It was so fast that we couldn't believe it. We felt confused, almost like time had warped. That moment completely changed me forever. Before I was a strict atheist, and now I just know that there's more out there.
Just a quick reminder, guys, don't forget to check out our brand new Area 52 tees. These classic tees feature the Area 52 logo embroidered on the front and printed on the back. They're super comfy. Check them out, area52.shop. Ladies and gentlemen, today I would like to welcome to the skiff Patrick Jackson, author of The Sphere Network. Now, I was really interested in the work that he's been doing because, as some of you know at home, I've also myself been sort of toying with this hypothesis of a network that is interacting with us. And it seems like you've done a lot of work into this little network, or this large network, I should say. And I'm looking forward to discussing that with you today. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, you flew in from the UK.
Yes.
You're in Cambridge?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for making the trip out here. I hope it was seamless. I know it was a long trip.
It was a long one, but it was fun.
So, Patrick, we're going to be looking through at first. Now, just for the audience at home, you stressed the importance of running me through this slideshow prior to our conversation. So we're going to have a conversation. We're going to delve into, hypotheticals and all sorts of like fun stuff. But prior to that, you thought it was really important that I and the audience sit through a quick little slideshow letting us know exactly, technically, what exactly it is we're dealing with. But prior to getting into this, can you just give us like an oversight of what the Sphere Network is?
Well, the Sierra Network is an AI-based defense network that is wrapped around the planet. And it's been here for pretty much forever. It uses 3 layers of sphere architecture, is controlled from the ground up, and it's responsible for many paranormal effects, including poltergeist activity.
Interesting.
that's where my interest started, was actually trying to reverse engineer what poltergeists were. I come from a background of IT and databases and reverse engineering. And I've always been like yourself, a very big skeptic of stuff. So I decided to hire out the most aggressive poltergeist house in the UK just to see if I could see anything. And I was there for 4 days, and it was the longest 4 days of my life. Because within 15 minutes of being in the place, crazy stuff started happening.
Really?
Yeah.
You documented this?
Oh, yeah. It's all on tape. Everything's all documented. And but what I went in there specifically for was to start to see if I could notice any patterns. Because 30 East Drive is a very small building.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to start spotting the patterns compared to, say, a big building like a castle.
Right.
Because you just wouldn't be able to, it's so large, you wouldn't be able to see anything going on. There'd be noises all over the place.
Right.
But in 30 East Drive, because it's so small, it's actually very straightforward to reverse engineer what's going on there, because it's pretty much the same patterns keep reoccurring.
Now, you say 30 East Drive.
Yeah.
For those in the audience, maybe like myself, who aren't familiar, this is a haunted house, a famous haunted house in the UK.
Yeah, it's actually voted one of the most aggressive poltergeists in the UK. In fact, the police don't even go in there.
Really?
Yeah. So and it's been active for going on, I think, 30, 40 years. And it's had an army of priests go in there. It's had investigators going there. It's had everything. And it's still there. And it still does all the same things it did 40 years ago.
Was it like a murder or something?
No. Well, I mean, they try and tie it to a priest who died there or something going back 40 years. But
you have another idea of what this could be.
Well, the fact is that in England, UK specifically, is that you would be lucky to find a bit of ground where someone didn't die.
Yeah, that's right.
Because of our history and all that. So, you could take any bit of land and say, oh, someone died there 400 years ago, Yeah. But what these what the mainstream paranormal investigators do is, like a building will become active, and then all they do is they just hit the history books, because they just assume it's dead people, and then they find, oh, there was a murder there 30, 40 years ago. They've come back to haunt it, and that's really it, and they roll with it, and that's how the mainstream deals with it. But my approach was very different. I just went in there as a blank sheet and just started to see what I would find. Yeah. Because what I noticed very first was the behavior patterns in this building specifically are not human behavior patterns. Humans have a very distinct behavior pattern. They're quite sociable creatures, even the bad ones. Even the ones in jail. They're they're still sociable creatures, and they want to communicate. And the fact is that everyone's has that auntie who talks too much. And tells the world everything. Right. So if she died and she could talk back to you somehow, she'll be telling the world, "Oh, it's awesome here." You know what I mean?
She wouldn't just be moving stuff around.
No, what you get in poltergeist specifically is you get banging, scratching, objects thrown, things catching fire,
cupboards opening, closing.
That's right. Yeah, you get strange electrical effects. You get headaches. You get nausea. You pass out. All very distinctive patterns.
Yeah.
And this replicates all around the world.
Yeah. And for those wondering where a good example of this might be, you don't have to look any further than what's happening on Skinwalker Ranch, really, and the history thereof.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've got a large, vast history of poltergeist activity there, but not only that, just like you said, you've got people falling ill to what seems like some type of radiation sickness.
Correct. Yeah. Because it's the same thing all over the world. It's the same system all over the world.
Okay. So, I mean, this is really interesting. So all of a sudden we go from, I didn't expect this turn, I'll be honest. Like when we started discussing this, to go from poltergeist activity, I can jump from that to aliens pretty quickly. Like myself, I can go, no, it's interdimensional beings. But going from what we're going to be looking at now in a second is we're going from poltergeist activity to AI.
Yeah.
I did not expect that leap. Can you talk us a little bit through that?
Yeah, I just have to get you to this slide here. So
we're going to be pulling these slides up as well in post so that you guys can follow along.
So just to give an example, this here is 30 East Drive. And you can see it's a normal building, brick building, and then you've got this bit attached to the side of it. And this bit here is the most important part.
That's the haunted part?
That's where the main events occur, like the banging occurs. But actually all the activity occurs on the top floors here. But this is where the actual banging occurs down here. So this is actually the staircase inside the building, and if you get your meters out, and if you walk up these stairs right here, you'll feel dizzy. Every time you walk past these steps, you feel dizzy. And it's like a sudden dizziness. That's the way you describe it. But also, if you have like your EMF detectors and other detectors and stuff, if you put it at the top here, you'll get a very high electrical emissions, like literally off the scale. It's very high energy source.
Really?
Yeah.
And you have footage of that and
it's all
documents.
I've got it all on my YouTube and X and stuff. It's all documented.
Interesting.
So even if you turn all the power off in the house, it's still there.
Electromagnetic fields.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can say, okay, that's very strange. You shouldn't be there.
Is that could that be like cell phones? Could that be like, no? No,
because I'm the only one in there.
Right.
Or everybody else is outside or something. And this energy source is very specific, and you can actually, it moves around. So you can put your detector there, it will go down, and you put it up there and it goes up again.
Interesting.
So it's a high energy source that's moving around. And so this is the same staircase right here. And what people are seeing are these like black masses moving around. And
right.
This is actually very common. People see this a lot. They mostly see it in basements and attics. And it looks like a black mass that moves really fast. It's like it'd be there and then it goes like that real quick. It's like instant acceleration. It can move without weight or resistance. And it moves at a set rate of speed. And it moves in a digital way. So it's not like speeding up. It just goes like that, very, very fast. So I got hold of this image here, and this is the black mass as it goes past. And what you see, this is like a filtered image, so to bring out the detail. And you have a lot of noise all up here, but then right in the middle here, just the top center, you see what looks to be a small ball or a small sphere. And that kind of caught my interest because I was like, well, that's an artificial shape in noise. You know, that's from an IT point of view, that's like
a round object would be artificial.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Digital object might be a little bit more jagged.
Correct. Yeah. So this is another image I got hold of, and this here is again filtered image, and what comes out is a small silver ball. It's about the size of a baseball, and it's hovering off the ground. And when I saw this, I was in because what my process was, I spent 4 days there, and I had it all filmed, and then I went. Took it all to my workplace, and then I'd finish work at like 5:30, and I would work from 5:30 to 7:30 every night for like 3 months to try and find something in the noise, you know, something I could spot.
Just looking through footage.
I was obsessed with it.
Prior to AI.
Really this is before all that.
A lot easier today.
And so I was really obsessed with it. I would like wake up in the morning, 5 a.m, and it would be just on my head. It was like a machine in my head. I explain it to people and they think, you know, it's crazy, but it's like I have a machine in my head that goes through all these different models. Like you can take all these data points and you can it can model all these different ideas and stuff. And
essentially a computer.
And I can't do it with anything else. I can't do it with maths or anything, but I can do it with this for some reason. And so anyway, I finally saw this, and when I saw it, it was like all the jigsaw puzzles parts all just click together.
So prior to this, you didn't have working theory.
I had a couple, but they all fell through very quick.
I see. And so, the whole sphere network theory wasn't something you were looking for.
No.
Right. Okay. I think that's an important distinction here, because going into something like this, having, some bias could definitely, you could see how, okay, maybe that's a sphere, maybe that's this, maybe that's that.
I had this other theory, which I worked on for a while, but it fell through within 15 minutes. I had a theory called quantum mirroring. That was it. And what it was I kind of thought, well, if maybe there's a way that we're like in a parallel, or the timelines can cross, something like that, and then you see projections from the past.
Sure.
And I was thinking, well, what can do
Valid idea, I think, yeah.
And I thought, well, what can do that? You know, well, gravity itself is connected to time. Maybe the alignments of the planets could somehow bend the timelines to cross over, and then you see shadows of the past, something like that. And for a while, I thought that's a pretty valid one that might work.
Also, sounds like astrology.
Yeah. So I thought, well, because there's also a degree of clockwork when it comes to these paranormal stuff. Right. So I thought, well, stars are clockwork because they have a certain pattern and movement and a timing. So maybe the the changes in the gravitational effects of the planets can affect the timeline, which can
Right.
cause a blur.
Kind of like the moon affects the tide.
Something, yeah. But more I thought about it, the more it kind of fell to pieces, because if that was the case, it wouldn't just be happening in one location, it would be happening everywhere.
Good point. Okay.
You know what I mean? So everyone would be seeing the same thing all over the planet. And then when I was in 30 East Drive, on my first night, I was just upstairs and I just said, is anyone here? You know, and the door banged 8 times. And I was like, well, there's no one downstairs. And I got that on tape as well. And there's no one there. And it's a sealed door and no one can get there. And it was very distinct.
Huh.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, that broke that theory.
Yeah.
So that I just started from scratch again. And
I mean, as a magician and an entertainer, the first thing that I think is there's someone down there.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or there's some sort of mechanics or technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so was there any way of ruling that out?
Oh, yeah, you can just go in there. It's just like an empty concrete room.
Yeah.
And the door, and that's it. It's all sealed. There's nothing there. There's no, it's not like there's air going in and causing a suction or anything like that. It's just a room.
Yeah, we're assuming that this is paranormal, though, but there is, like, a part of me has to remain a little skeptical for that, because if this is a famous haunted hub, then, you know, rightfully there would be a reason to attract, you know, tourism to it as well. Am I incorrect?
Well, originally it was a private house.
Right.
But then after this, because this has been haunted for 30, 40 years. In the beginning it was a private house, but then eventually the people who owned it sold it to the guy who owns it now, a guy called Bill. But obviously no one wants to buy it because it was.
But Bill probably runs tours and stuff. Like,
yeah, he rents it out.
So,
yeah,
like, for me, that's like always got to be up there as well. Like, I mean, there is obviously, that doesn't negate what we're seeing here, but it does. It should be added into the equation.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And I would think the same thing if I hadn't seen it before. But
sure.
Again, I just went in there like as a clear kind of like a like an
unbiased. Let's just go.
Just see what I find.
Sure.
And this is what I found. So yeah, we spotted this small silver ball hovering off the ground, and when I saw that, it was like, okay, eureka! And in fact, because I've been working so long at this, when I saw it, I actually started shaking. It was like some sort of shock hit me, and I was like, oh fuck!
Ontologically,
yeah, because it completely changes or remaps your brain, and I was like, oh my god! And I actually went down. I had to go down the pub and just drink myself
down a pint,
down quite a few pints, and sort of process it. And I was to sit there like this, just like staring into space for 4 or 5 hours afterwards, because it all started clicking into place. So what you have really is in this case you have it's basically a small.
There's a
drone.
Video.
No, this is a still shot, but there are videos of this somewhere. So let me just move to another shot. This is again, 4 pictures of the same thing. And in this case here, you see it flying towards the door because it's got a trail behind it.
Mm-hmm.
This trail has also been replicated over Skinwalker on their IR cameras. They have like a distinctive trail going by. It's like a lensing effect as they go by. And then this one here then goes here, then it ducks back, and then it sits there for a little while.
Yeah, it's wild. That's clearly, you know, there's clearly something there. Yeah, it's not just like a technical error on behalf of the camera. There's actually some type of physical or non-physical object or light source running through.
That's right, yeah.
That's interesting.
And then you got examples from 1903 where they are seeing like these glowing spheres.
Entering the home.
Flying through homes.
That's right.
And back then, you know, or even today, they say, ball lightning. You know, but we'll get into that later because it's not ball lightning.
I mean, even ball lightning is inexplicable. So
yeah. So these objects, what they can do is a thing called quantum tunneling, which means that they can pass through solid objects. And it's amazing to watch because I've been in 30 East Drive where we got the camera set up, and you see these little balls like on the IR camera in the upstairs room, and they'll fly through the ceiling into the lounge, do a couple of curls, then go up again. So it's clearly intelligent flight control. It's not like just random dust blowing around. But that's what this is a depiction of what people were seeing in 1903. So this here is a few examples. So this was taken in the US. So this was taken in the English Field, and this was taken in 30 East Drive. And you can see it's the same little ball.
Little light orbs.
Little light ball, yeah. The only difference is in this state here, it's like in a low power state where all you see is like a silver ball. well, and here as well. But in this one here, you see it's glowing. And this is where people get confused, where it's saying it's plasma orbs or silver spheres or different things, but they're not. They're the same thing. What it is that when these things are powered up, or how it logically maps out, is when these things are powered up, they're producing a high energy field around them, which is energizing the gas molecules in the environment surrounding them, which then produces a glow. It's the same process as lightning in electric storms. The only difference is in electric storms, you have a buildup of charge. You see a big lightning strike, and then it powers down again. Because in nature, nothing is constant. It's in a constant state of flux. But in this case, you see just a constant ball of light, which means the power source is artificial. So you got to ask yourself, okay, so why are these small spheres in buildings themselves? Why are they there?
Sure. Why
would they be performing physical actions to move people away? And why are people getting physically affected? So there's three things that a drone would need to use, regardless of how advanced the technology is. One, it needs to send and receive signals. Two, it needs a network. And three, it needs AI. This is also key to the repetitive actions as well, because the door is a repetitive action. It keeps on looping. It's the same effect. So what you have is an AI process, a process that's occurring to execute an action, and it works. So the question is, if these are drones, I mean, has any signals been received or anything? And the answer is yes. So what I've done was I managed to sample the signals that are coming from these spheres at the time inside the building. And this is it. This right here. So what it appears to be is an 18-bit signal, and you have two synchronization bits, which is here and here. And then you have the main data packet right here. So what it appears to be is it's doing a thing called burst relaying. So it'll power up, it'll burst relay, send and receive signals, then power down again. When it's powered up, it appears to be transmitting microwave data, but also it has a gamma radiation byproduct. And I think this is why it produces actions to move people away. But we'll get into that in a minute.
So you're essentially, the theory is that these smaller spheres that are, on camera here floating around, or that people are seeing with the naked eye or on their, Nest cams or whatever it is, are part of a network. Now, their job primarily is to get people out of the way, is to move people in a certain direction based on an AI system that triggers that event.
Correct. On a pre-coded library of actions.
So like a library of actions, meaning a rap at the door or a vase falling off the counter and you have to go and clean it up or something.
That's right. It appears to either want to force you away from itself or lock you in place.
So if I was playing The Sims, the game The Sims, right?
Yeah.
And I was to, drop something in the kitchen, what happens to that sim?
That's right. He stays there cleaning it up.
He goes into the kitchen, hears a noise, a little bubble, he goes, ah!
That's
and
right.
And he sweeps it up.
Yeah.
And so in that time, you're proposing that sphere is maneuvering through the house.
Or it's transmitting.
Or it's transmitting something and it doesn't want you to fall ill.
Close.
Right.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all to do with the inverse square law of radiation.
And it seems so far-fetched, I'm not going to lie. But what's interesting, hearing it right now seems far-fetched, but it's interesting how once you start going into all the other sort of macro sphere of the sphere network, you're starting to see things that we can actually identify, with cameras and airplanes and different sightings. And so this is like the microcosm of that sphere network, which, is for me, like the hardest pill to swallow out of all of this.
So as I said, you have this drone, basically, it's just a drone that flies around your house. Or it's not just your house. It's like any network. It has to go where it needs to go, the most optimal route.
Right.
So sometimes it will be like in a field. Sometimes it will be in a woodland. Sometimes it was just a hole in the ground. Sometimes a cave. Sometimes under a bridge. All these areas. So it's a network that goes where it needs to go, but sometimes it has to route through populated areas. And then it uses buildings. And then, in fact, if you map all the haunted buildings in the UK, I mean, this is just a sample, but it makes a clear example. If you look, they all operate in lines and clusters, which basically mirrors our own microwave-based communication networks. point to point. It works over topology. Yeah.
So it like relays the
Relays.
information.
That's right. And because
it's not a straight line.
That's right. Yeah. And because it's using microwaves, it means it's line of sight, which means it's stealth. Which means unless you're directing that line of sight, you won't be able to detect it. Which is exactly what would be good for a stealthy network. So getting back to the building with the door banging. This here is a coal shed door, and this is what was banging. And while I was up here in the bedroom area, up here. Now, the electronic emissions are occurring right here on the top floor above the stairs in the attic area, okay? So what is actually going on here? So when this sphere needs to broadcast and you've got people in the immediate area, it will bang this door. Because if you look at the layout of the house, the coal shed door is the most furthest part of the building. Like this. So
right, leading you away. So what it does is it will bang the door. Everybody in the building will run downstairs to here, and then see this thing banging, going, "What's going on?" It must be dead Auntie Elvis or something. Sure, yeah.
And as a result, when it broadcasts, it's going through 1, 2, 3, 4 walls. So the radiation's been absorbed by every single wall. So what it's doing, this is evidence of artificial intelligence, because it's basically measuring where you are. And then saying, okay, you need to be over there in the next 5 seconds. Bang, 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 bang. Everyone goes down.
How is it banging? Is it actually like banging itself against it, do you think?
I think so. So these things can pass through walls. So they've been observed to do a thing called quantum tunneling, which was observed during World War II. This is the same thing as the Foo Fighters. So the Foo Fighters used to fly into the aircraft, fly around, and then fly out again. And they used to machine gun them. And the bullets would just pass over them or through them, and they wouldn't touch them. So what it appears to be is when it needs to broadcast, it will fly over here. And because these things, according to the US government, these spheres can go from 0 to Mach 2 in a heartbeat. So what it can do, it can fly over here, bang the door, like just physically against itself, like boom, 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 boom. And then it will fly back again. And then everyone goes rushing down. Right. Once you're out of range, it
classic decoy.
Exactly, yeah.
And throwing a rock.
Yeah. So this is why poltergeist activity all around the world has the same library of actions. It bangs doors. It makes scratches. It will throw objects, like not generally at you, but sort of around you. It will also cause fires as well. So it causes all these diversion actions to move people away from itself.
So what do you make of poltergeist activity when there's no one around?
Well, I mean, it's an AI system, so it will just trigger. It will just trigger anyway.
Right.
It's a process that triggers.
Because I see like Nest Cam videos where like a chair goes flying across the room or something.
Yeah.
But then no one comes to see the chair.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is an AI-based system that will just trigger. But if it knows it's some observation, it will probably do it anyway.
Right.
If there's a camera there, it will just do it. So that's what it appears to be. And this is why people faint and feel sick in these buildings, because it's not spirits attacking them. You're getting a radiation burst.
Yeah, it's the electro. You know what I mean? It's the microwave emission.
Yeah. So this here was a picture. This was taken off a YouTube video I found, and these guys here were getting all this weird poltergeist activity in this building. And they looked up to the attic, and they see a small silver sphere hovering in the attic. And this is exactly how it models out. So, depending on the type of building it is, the sphere will operate in 1 or 2 locations. In modern brick buildings, say like a 2-floor building with a roof, it'll operate in the attic. While in wooden buildings, like in the States, you have like a single-floor wooden building with a basement. It will operate in the basement itself. And it's because the basement is the most shielded part of that building. It can't broadcast in the same room, it will use the basement. But the problem with that is those buildings themselves are actually the most active ones, because you've got high energy emissions going up and down.
Okay.
And people are in the middle. There's a lot of actions to move these people away.
Right.
And that's why these buildings are the most active buildings.
Interesting.
I modeled that these spheres are producing gamma radiation and microwave bursts. And this was also picked up by a scientist, Jim Segala. He put the sensors inside these buildings where the people were having paranormal-like phenomena occurring. Yeah. And he picked up exactly what I said, which is gamma radiation and microwave bursts.
Effectively what you would need to send signals.
Exactly, yeah.
Whoa.
So you ask yourself, like, what's the physical effects of gamma radiation? Well, you have nausea and vomiting, fatigue and tiredness, headaches, dizziness, fainting, redness on the skin, irritation, weakness and lethargy, and cognitive impairment as well. All of these effects are common in people who go to paranormal locations.
Right. And also common for a lot of people who interact with, like in the abduction sphere or contactees or experiencers. You'll, mirror a lot of this as well.
Yeah.
Just from simply the, not necessarily, well, I mean, I was going to say, perhaps the craft itself, but maybe that craft itself is also sending off microwave signals to something else that you're getting in the way of.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, when you watch these TV shows of people fainting in these buildings and they're thinking it's demons attacking them.
Right, being possessed or something.
It's not.
Right.
You're just getting a radiation dose.
Mm-hmm. It's so wild to replace demons with AI.
Oh yeah,
I think as a theory, it's really interesting.
So what happened to me was I was in the 30 East Drive, and I was when that door bang was occurring, I stayed upstairs because I there were other things going on in that room, and I got brain swelling. My brain started to swell in my skull, and it was terrible. Like I didn't know what it was at the time, but I felt this terrible pressure in my skull, and in 3 days, I went from being quite a fluid thinker and fast to really brittle and short-tempered because of the how I felt. It was awful. But yeah, this is the same thing as occurred at Skinwalker Ranch as well, where one of them got brain swelling when they got close to these radiation bursts. So what's the analysis? So what you have are these small, what I call type 3 spheres, which they're creating a dynamic network that basically can move around to its needs. You have a main network, which is quite rigid. So you have buildings that have been haunted for 30, 40 years constantly. And then you have the more dynamic. So, in networking terms, there's a thing called load balancing, whereby if the main route is too busy or it's obstructed, it will work around it. And that's what it appears to be. So the dynamic network will reroute signals.
Can shift around.
Will shift around when it needs. So this is why new buildings with no history, with nothing happening ever,
are haunted.
And I actually was called to a building in London a few years ago. And this building was this house was like a $7 million house, beautiful house. And I said, "Oh, well, you just bought the place." I said, "No, we've had it for like 6 years, but we daren't move in. It's terrible here." I was like, "You're kidding?" No. And the house was, again, they're having poltergeist activity around the house, and the daughters wouldn't live there, and the parents were scared to death. But they couldn't. What are they going to do? They can't sell it.
Yeah,
and no one wants it. so yeah. That's what it appears to be. So this model here, which is what I produced a few years ago, I gave this model to Senator Gillibrand a year before the U.S. UAP hearings, and they were, from what I hear, they were all excited, all impressed, all wanted meetings, and then the door slammed shut, and never heard. We even went to her office. We went to her office and said, "What's going on?" and didn't want to know.
Interesting.
So what it appears to be is so you have the type 3s down here.
Which are the little ones?
Yeah, these little ones. And this here actually represents the ground.
Sure.
So these here are like 10 feet, 15, 30 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Operating in buildings and so forth. And then what's happening is they're linking up to the type 2s. These are like larger variants of the same technology.
These are the ones that people catch on videos.
That's right. And they're always over treetop lines.
Basketball size.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
And these are about, maybe 200-300 feet, something like that. And then what happens is they link up to the even larger variants called the type 1B formation.
It's like giant triangular formation of spheres.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So this is this.
And those are type 1s, the bigger ones.
That's right. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So let's move on. So these are here are the type 2. So as you can see, they're literally about basketball size, and they will hover above tree lines, and they operate also in lines. So you have 3 in a line. So what it appears to be doing is that depending from the distance from the type 3 data network, which is on the ground, it then has a low energy signal, which then boosts up to a higher energy signal to the type 2s, and then it really amplifies it to long distance transmissions. So that's what that appears to be used for.
Now, right away, people seeing that image that you previously had up there, you know where this is going. A lot of people go, Oh, is that the boogosphere?
Nah.
Instantly, that's
Yeah.
where people's heads are going to go. They're going to go boogosphere, betsphere, or all these other spheres that have been caught. A lot of them, many of them in South America, but that one specifically comes up because it's been in the kind of like cultural zeitgeist recently.
Yeah.
Real quick, as a parentheses, boogosphere. What are we looking at?
From what I can tell because I had people in the lab the moment that was the boogosphere was found.
Yeah.
And I had a real good look at it. It wasn't me. I looked at it through the cameras,
Sure.
what they sent me. And when you get from a distance, it looks pretty good. But when you get it up close, it's basically man-made.
There's irregularities that
yeah.
to you depict that it's man-made.
Yeah.
Is that in the etchings itself or in the construction of the sphere?
In both.
Okay.
So in the if you look close to it, you can see where they've got like some sort of scraping tool to mark out the patterns, and then they haven't actually fully
erased
cut them out. Yeah. So from a distance, from up close, you can see it has many errors.
So you're thinking hoax.
Complete hoax. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And also on the X-ray, you see like a bell inside of it.
Yep.
But what they do is in the images they put it sideways. But in fact, if you put it like vertically, what it appears to be is like a heavy weight, like a pendulum. And what it looks to be, from what I can tell, is like a very basic stabilization unit, or system. So when it flies, it doesn't pivot like this. It
because it'd be on a string.
Yeah, it's on a string, and this weight keeps it kind of more stable.
Right, so it's not bobbing and
it's not bobbing around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see, and that would account for the impossible trajectory that it has, because you would think that if something was on a string, you could see clearly it's on a string, but we do have technology, and like that's pretty primitive. That's not a gyroscope that's in there, but it's something pretty basic that would counteract or counterbalance the sphere in those motions. Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So that unfortunately that one.
Do you think PSYOP?
I think I just think it's
just a clever hoax.
A clever hoax used for.
There's a lot of attention on it.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is real, what you're saying now. There'd be a good reason to throw something in the mix like that.
I think so. Yeah, I think
poison the well.
I think it's just a way of making money.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, what are we seeing here?
So the sphere network, how it appears to work is through an algorithm which basically triggers on airborne activity that's out of place, and one of these is air shows. So when you have like unusual air show patterns, it triggers the V formations, and in fact you can see them right here. And in this formation, it's like a triangle that's up on its side. And through the process I'll show you later, it means that it's actually tracking these right here. So what it's doing is saying, "Who are you? Who goes there?"
Yeah.
And then, okay, you're okay. And then it disappears.
This is something I've seen. I remember watching multiple videos of air shows, and because they're incredibly fast, but they're zipping by, and it's clearly a metallic sphere. Yeah. You're like, well, that's like not a balloon. Yeah. And, I'd always wondered, like, what's the point of that? Why are you demonstrating this? But this makes way more sense that it is some type of system. That is just basically checking up, making sure everything's okay, because this is anomalous. It's not a normal flight pattern. And that would make sense that the AI would pick that up.
Yeah.
So there's a video I'll play right now of one of those little spheres. It was recently in the UK as well, where they had the Jubilee or something. They were doing something.
Oh, yeah.
They had like one of those spheres fly by.
Yep.
Okay.
So I noticed that there's these operate in two main configurations. So what you have here, you have the Type 2 sphere here, and then you have the V formation here, and it's actually like on a flat plane instead of being up on its side. And then you have another Type 2 here, and you have another Type 1 V formation again on its flat plane. So what it appears to be is the mathematics I'll show you in a minute, but in this case, it's tracking two targets. And what it appears to be is that for every one Type 2 sphere, it can control one single cluster of three. So this was taken over Italy. Italy, I believe. Yeah.
Was there a sighting that day as well? Was there like another UFO in the area?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know.
Because that's usually what they're there for, right? They're there to like pick up anomalous aerial activity.
Well, the interesting thing is, from the mathematics, you can determine Well, from the formation and the distance the Type 1 spheres are, you can actually determine the locate the distance and location of the object they're tracking.
Right. And from the direction of where they're pointing.
That's right.
They would you could triangulate where that is.
That's right. Yeah. So this here took me a long time to figure out, but this is the mathematics of how the sphere network works. It's using a thing called trilateration. So this is how it basically works. You have the Type 3 data network, which is on the ground here.
Yep.
So the sphere network, it appears to be ground based. So it's all controlled from the ground up, which is highly likely to be underground. So you have the Type 3s are operating low to the ground, which will then link down to the servers wherever it's being controlled.
Right. So there's like a Type 4, perhaps even maybe that's underground.
Well, there's some sort of network
server or something.
Yeah, server or network. So this is connecting up to the Type 2 locally because it's a low energy signal to here. This is then amplifying that signal to another Type 2, which is local to the Type 1b formation. And then where the Type 2 is and the position of this, you can determine where the target is.
You can literally draw a line through the middle of that
That's
triangle
from
that Type 2.
That's right.
And find an object.
Yeah. And what it's doing is a trilateration system, which is actually the same process we use for our own mobile phone tracking.
Okay.
Where instead of using 3 spheres, we're using 3 satellites.
Oh, wow.
So it's the same kind of mathematics behind it.
Interesting.
But this is a drone-based system. So so this system here is a very high resolution tracking and targeting system.
Okay. So hypothetically, we have some terrestrial-based intelligence doing reconnaissance and monitoring for some type of celestial body that's entering the atmosphere, potentially.
Well, it's effectively like an air defense system.
Right. But an air defense of foreign, not human.
Yeah, external.
Yeah.
So from this equation up here as well, depending on the distance of the spheres themselves, you can determine the distance of the target. The wider these spheres are, the wider the triangle is, the more distant, and the closer they are, the closer.
Right. Okay.
And it works out to be like 1 to 10. So for every 1 meter, it works out 1,000 meters in distance.
Okay.
That's kind of like that's baseline here. So this triangle here is doing a 2-dimensional scan of the sky. And then this fourth one here is doing a distance calculation. And when you fuse that data together, you get 3D tracking in space.
Interesting. Very cool. Show us some examples of this.
So this was over the UK coast. And you can see the Type 1b formation right here, and this is the Type 2.
Okay. And they're illuminated because
they're powered up. They're ready to go. Yeah.
They're ready to do what? What exactly does go mean?
Well, they're ready to
fire a directed energy weapon?
Possibly, yeah.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. When they're it's strange. They seem to have a color code system, which I haven't quite worked out yet, but they glow either red, green, or blue. So it's almost like a traffic light system. But from what I can tell, when they're powered up like this, it means they're ready for business. So,
do you think we saw some of these during that drone flap in Jersey?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of that there.
Yeah. In fact, I looked at some of the footage from that, and you can clearly see the formations. But what's actually happening there is you have the sphere network doing its thing, which is it's always the same formations and process. But then you have other drones that are tracking it. So it appears to be to American drones,
right? Most
likely fuel cell drones, because they can stay up. They're high performance drones. They can stay up in the air for a long time.
Yep.
And they're quick refueling as well. And they appear to be tracking the sphere network as it's going around doing its
right.
thing.
So you got the sphere network tracking the drones tracking the sphere network, and then the sphere network perhaps tracking more of those drones, and then this exponential monitoring system where we start monitoring each other.
And the interesting thing is that the drones that people are seeing in over New Jersey appear to have FAA lights on them. Right. So what it means is that the spheres are doing their own thing, but the drones that are tracking them are using FAA lights to warn off other air traffic. That's how it logically models out.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, it's kind of a conclusion that I came to myself with, this whole system talk, was that what we were seeing in New Jersey, perhaps could have initiated with some form of non-human interaction that we had, some type of spacecraft monitoring maybe us, moving around a dirty bomb or, playing around with, nuclear stuff. And then that triggered, a set of perhaps, monitoring non-human intelligence. And then we send our monitors, and now we're just looking at like this incredible cluster.
Well, it started after Russia launched I think it was an ICBM
in Ukraine
into Ukraine.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like armed with nuclear weapons.
Right.
That's when it started. So
yeah, because you had a lot of stuff happen at Lakenheath at that time as well, right? There was like a massive flap there as well.
Yeah,
which probably not harboring anything now, but I would suspect did have some nuclear arms, in and around there. Probably explains Rendlesham as well.
Well, if you think about it, if there is an ultra-terrestrial presence on Earth, they don't want us to go nuclear because it ruins their home as well.
Sure, yeah.
So they're probably keeping a tab on things.
That's a good reason to keep it safe. Yeah.
In fact, I've got footage recently of the Type 1 V formations. They're taking out rockets over the Middle East. Over Israel and Iran as well. They don't seem to pick any sizes. They don't pick any particular sides.
Yeah,
but they.
But that's not the Iron Dome doing that.
No. These are fixed triangles in the sky.
You see them?
Yeah. You can see them taking out missiles. So it appears that they're keeping a lid on things.
Sure.
But that's what it appears to be. So this was taken over Florida, and again, you can see the Type 2 and the Type 1 V formation like this. And in this configuration, the target is at 1 o'clock.
Right.
And then here you've got the other ones here. You've got the V4, the Type 1s here, and the Type 2 is taken off a cruise ship. This one here, you can actually see the saucer is tracking as well.
Where's that from, the top one?
That's from there. I can't pronounce that. It's so funny.
Okay, it's like either Mexico or some Spanish-speaking country. Okay.
This was over Barcelona. And again, you can see the daisy chaining, as I said in my model. Type 2, V formation, 1 o'clock position.
Interesting.
And then here you've got multiple examples of the same thing, all over the world, all different times.
They're always in this formation?
Always in the same formations. They're both doing trilateration.
Could some of these just be prosaic?
No.
None of these. Not one of these could be balloons gone off at a party or something.
No. This is all a very distinct process that keeps replicating.
So, and you base that on the measurement, the distance between the spheres, and there's it's not just like a gut shot. You're measuring these things. You're looking at these things, making sure. Have you found any videos where you're like, that's clearly balloons, or that's clearly, because that's important too. I think
there are people out there who do fake stuff.
But not even accidentally. Like if you let something go at a party, some Chinese lanterns or something, you might, 3 Chinese lanterns in a cluster looks like a triangle, right? It is a triangle.
Yeah, but the difference is that these triangles are highly distinct, concise triangles.
Right.
Which means that they are exactly the same distance apart.
Equilateral.
Yeah, equilateral. Because for trilateration to work, they have to be perfectly distanced.
Okay. All right.
So this one here is obviously the space explosion B-roll. I suppose you can mix that in. But
yeah, put that in here. That was wild to look at. So a bit of context. This gentleman was just filming the stars?
That's right, yeah.
And then what, can you talk us through?
So yeah, this was filmed through a telescope a few years ago, way before any of the disclosure stuff that's happening now.
I don't know if you can see that.
And you can see
orbiting that planet over there.
These small lights start coming in.
So that's a planet.
Well, he thinks it's a planet.
He thinks it's a planet.
Not sure what's
because it's bright, and he's like, "Oh, there's something orbiting this planet." You can hear him saying that. And so, out of curiosity, he's filming through his phone. He's filming the telescope.
I'm going to be filming that planet just right.
Okay, so you can't even see it with the naked eye.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So that dot that was there is probably the moon or something, but what he's looking at, you can't see with the naked eye.
Yeah.
Check this out.
And now watch this as he goes back to look at.
Oh my God! It blew up. What the hell?
It blew up.
Something just blew the hell up. It was orbiting, And now it blew
if you look
up,
closely,
and
you
it's
can
in
see
outer
that there's a
space, and
triangle.
it's no longer
Yeah.
there.
Oh, I see.
And in that configuration, it's in a horizontal configuration, which means it's doing downward or upward trilateration.
So there's something in orbit or above orbit, even past orbit or somewhere that's being completely obliterated. Clearly an explosion.
Yeah.
And he noticed, so this person reached out to you specifically, or was he just
No.
filming this randomly?
No, he was just filming it randomly, and I saw it, and because I'd noticed that the V formations, and then I looked at that, and I saw again the V formations.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so there we go.
So knowing the information, you know, you're scouring the internet, seeing these videos, and you're going, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's happening again.
And it happens all the time.
Wild.
And to give you a bit of context, I think it's actually very common. Let me show you. So this was filmed in my own back garden here. And you can see these bright flashes deep in space. And you can't really see this with the naked eye. You need your night scope to see this. And it's not just in the same place. It's actually like a cluster of explosions. So yeah, I think that what these flashes are, those explosions occurring in space.
See, to me, that could look like an airplane, though.
Yeah,
like
I mean, from you know, but when you're actually filming it, I mean, this thing is so deep up in space,
right?
It's not,
and you can't see it with the naked eye. You're saying
it's very hard to see with the naked eye.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so it appears to be like there's this AI-based network around us that is using an algorithm to intercept and destroy external threats, including other groups that are coming here, including maybe meteorites,
including our own,
and maybe our own as well. I think
nuclear threats. Like, I mean, if you have, what was it, the Big Sur event where they shot a rocket up.
That's right, yeah.
And then but they said a disc came around and started zapping it, and then took the rocket down.
Yeah, it could. I mean, it could be a disc. I don't know, but it does appear to be taking care of, should we say, airborne threats, both from on the Earth itself, like between us, but also foreign. External as well.
Cool. Is that it for the slideshow?
That's it. Yeah.
Well, very interesting. I mean, this stuff is very interesting. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, I've been toying with this idea of, like, through especially observing abductions and some of the online testimony that people have come forward with, claiming to have worked on a lot of these crash retrieval stuff, that it sort of behaves like a system. And if you look at the work that Skywatcher was doing, you know, in my opinion, was probably also simulating war games. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. And I think that's what they were doing. Part of what they were doing, aside from the psionic, stuff, was throwing stuff up, kind of like Skinwalker's doing. Just like, let's blow stuff up in the air. Let's create, look at, you had, was it Lou Elizondo talked about Project Interloper, same thing, driving a nuke out into the middle of the ocean to see if they can attract these things. It seems like now this would be pretty easy to replicate if a jet can just summon them. What's stopping us from shooting them down and looking at them closer?
Well, I think they're very hard to shoot down. Number one, I mean, World War II proved that they were opening up machine guns on them, and they wouldn't fall down. However, I do think that there has been a number of them that have just malfunctioned and landed on the ground anyway. I've been on this for a long, long time. I wrote my first book in 2015, and which identified these spheres in buildings, and also the V formations as well. We're now seeing in the sky, which kind of correlates with what Dr. Beatrice has found. Well, she's found triplets up in the atmosphere, so which are coming and going
in her slides.
Correct.
Those are the ones that were that she found. So for those wondering, Villarreal, I think her name is, Beatrice. She has put a lot of work into looking at these slides that she's taken from the past, telescope slides, I believe, photos that have been taken of our skies, and then noticed that a few of these bright lights would disappear when the Earth's shadow got between the sun and these objects, which, if it was a star, wouldn't be the case. So that's like a smoking gun, if I understand correctly, that these things, and this is prior to satellites. This is prior to us putting anything up there. There should be nothing up there.
That's right.
And yet these things are getting blocked out by the shadow of the Earth.
That's right.
Which means they're quite local.
That's right.
And you're saying they're in triangular formation.
Well, my model suggests, from what my data shows that these Type 1V formations are in big triangles.
So they've been here for a while.
A long, long time. Because there's images of them going back for decades, if not hundreds of years. There's even pictures in religious imagery of Type 1 spheres, what look to be spheres in V formation. So been here for a long time, and in fact, I can kind of theoretically model how far along they've been here, because they say the Type 3s are responsible for poltergeist activity, and that's 100%. I'm actually 100% sure on that. And so all you have to do is Google when was the first recorded case of poltergeist activity, and it goes back to the 1st century.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, correlation doesn't relate to causality also. Like, I mean, there could be both, right? They could be mutually exclusive. For people thinking like all poltergeist activity is these Type 3s, there could be a mix of things happening here too.
The reason why I say it's the same, because it's the same library of actions that are occurring. It's the same signatures.
I see.
I'm not saying that all paranormal activity is a Type 3 sphere.
Just specifically
poltergeist activity.
Poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
Huh. And so, okay, let's say, for argument's sake, that this is what's happening, which I feel like you've presented pretty good evidence that this points to something like that happening. Essentially, if this is true, what we're dealing with here is multiple species right off the bat, because we're dealing with one species that is controlling these things, preventing another species from interacting with this planet.
Correct.
So at least 2 more species.
At least.
What are your theories on what those species might be, according to lore and according to, a lot of the research that previous researchers have done in this space?
All I can really say from a technical point of view is the sphere network is controlled from the ground up, which means that there's an infrastructure, or a lot of infrastructure, goes all around the world that controls this. In fact, under Skinwalker Ranch, when they dig down 500 feet, they finding what appears to be materials that are consistent with, say, buildings.
Yeah, like a solid object down there.
Yeah, so that's where you'd put your server rooms and stuff. In fact, I think it's probably all hidden in plain sight. So you have the main systems all under the ground, and then these other guys are probably living inside mountains, all hidden inside like huge, almost like bunkers, I suppose, like huge cities or something inside mountains themselves.
I mean, we have that though.
Yeah,
we've got possibly hundreds of deep underground military bases, like so deep, and probably a tram system that runs, through these all. So, do you speculate that the United States government, or at least some faction of it, is completely aware of this system?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. I was a friend of mine was in 30 East Drive, and he was laying on the sofa, and he said there was a big flash, and he opened his eyes and he saw a woman standing and looking over him, and she was in uniform, and then he saw like a ball of light come forward, and big flash again, and nothing, all gone. The whole sort of event lasted maybe 3 or 4 seconds. So we did a search on the uniform, and it was Space Force.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was recent.
Yeah. I've even spoke to other like TV producers.
So what does that mean? Wait, hold on. What does that mean? Does that mean they were using the Sphere network?
I think Space Force is well aware of it, and I think that they probably work in tandem with them.
Oh, so you think there's like some type of agreement?
Yeah. But it must be because, I think there has to be. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because now we're talking about like back into the Eisenhower days and the Griata stuff, and us possibly having a deal with them. You think it wouldn't have been a deal with extraterrestrials, but it would have been a deal with ultraterrestrials?
More likely than not. Yeah.
Some type of cave-dwelling ancestor that's been here?
Possibly. Yeah.
Reptilian, maybe?
I have no idea. I have no idea. But yeah, so all I can say is that the network the control system for it has to be underground, and it has to be up to date and adaptive as well. In fact, I've got images of the Tic Tac because recently, they're trying to say that the Tic Tac is Lockheed or something like that, and it's not.
Right.
It's not. There's pictures of the Tic Tac going back years, and I mean years, like decades.
You can show me we can pull up that image that you showed me earlier?
Yeah, it's in the book.
Yeah, it's in the book. We'll pull that up.
We'll
okay.
pull that out. And what that does, what appears to happen is the network itself brings down. So to start again, so the low tech crafts that are coming in are taken out early, and you see them as flashes in the sky.
Those are the ones getting obliterated.
Yeah, they're like the less advanced ones.
Why are they coming here?
Oh, well, we may get into that later, but
okay.
but
many reasons, maybe.
Yeah, many reasons.
Okay,
but so the lower tech ones get taken out at a distance, while the higher tech ones get closer to the Earth. In the same way, a stealth fighter will get closer to a target because it can navigate through the network.
Right.
So the ones that are we see come close to the ground, what appears to happen is the spheres use a swarm tactic, and they'll just swarm all around it, literally sometimes locking it in midair, just like creating like a bubble around it. And what it appears to be is it'll either, it appears to disable or destroy those targets that come down close.
Mm-hmm.
But it appears to disable them, and they land mostly in the ocean. And then what happens is a Tic Tac will come in and then lock onto it, like through a thing called quantum locking, and then it will pull it out and then extract it out. And it's very, very fast, which is actually what those pilots saw. If you remember...
Right, Fravor.
Those yeah. And they said they saw a disturbance in the water and the Tic Tac over the top.
Yeah.
And they did another swing around and it had gone. And that's what it appears to be. And
it was getting ready to like grab one of those fighters?
No, it's to grab the object that was under the water.
I see.
Yeah. So it disables them. They land in the ocean and they get pulled out. And this would be logically correct, because if you have a craft that can penetrate the network, then you want that craft because you need to reverse engineer it. You'd need to grab it, take it somewhere, analyze it, and figure out how it managed to penetrate the network.
Make your system better.
And then you adapt the system, make it better.
That's something AI, I feel like that's a very AI thing to do as well.
And this kind of proves why the Sphere network is current and up to date. Because if it was like any arms race, if it was old, people would just be able to penetrate it, no problem.
Right. Ooh, that's interesting. So many interesting connections that I'm hearing through this. Especially I'm kind of obsessed with this one guy who came out on 4chan, which is not the most reputable site to be a whistleblower on. But this person said he worked on these crash retrieval stuff, and a lot of things that he's been saying, we look back on, we're like, oh wow, this is kind of what he's talking about. And it seems like a lot of these systems are in the ocean. Perhaps these servers are mobile. For me, that would make much more sense than for it to be at a singular location.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's way better places to hide.
Oh, yeah.
The moon, under the oceans, if you had that technology. And so this thing's moving around, but he did say it was really interesting, because when they try to approach this thing with like nuclear submarines, they would just get obliterated. And he means into nothing. There's nothing left. And he's like, electronics around them, it would, in his words, it would shit on anything electronic in the vicinity. And normally it would be evasive until you cornered it, and then it would just obliterate you. And he said that if you ever did any sharp turns, that's where it would intercept. And so I thought that was interesting, because now we're talking about an anomaly in pattern detection, right? So if you're just a boat going across, or if you're just a plane flying across, and all of a sudden you do a sharp turn, that signals to them, wait, what is that?
Yeah.
We got to go check that out. I'm reminded of another story. There's somebody we covered recently, Carlos de los Santos. He was a pilot in the 70s. And there is an audio recording, it's like 20 minutes long, where 3 disc-shaped objects intercept his plane one on each wing and one under him, and he feels it. And it kind of like locks him, and he had no control over it, and eventually they let him go.
Yeah.
Is that something that you feel could be part of this network? Maybe an earlier version?
No, I think that's probably some sort of extraction attempt.
So like what the Tic Tac would be doing.
No, I think that would probably be something external coming in to try and extract something from here.
I see.
And then because if they go to the bother of locking onto a craft and pulling it up, why would they let it go? I mean, what would be the point?
Yeah.
Only unless they're forced.
Unless they're forced, right? Or unless they're like, oops, my bad, wrong guy.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound.
It's like any action has deliberate thought behind it.
You don't think they make mistakes?
The spheres?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think in the past they have misidentified targets. There is some footage of like this early 80s where they'll be doing like an air show, and suddenly the wing will be torn off of a plane, and then it'll crash.
Wow.
But when you actually look close to the footage, you'll see these small silver balls or sphere-like objects tearing, like literally like projectile, like cannonballing through the wing. But that doesn't seem to happen now. So
Ryan Graves shared a story, I believe this year, might have been end of last year, about I believe, spherical object that hit a plane. Do you remember this?
It rings a bell.
Yeah, he said that there was actually physical damage to like the hull of the aircraft.
Well, I mean, the thing is that the Type 2s, they what their behavior signature is, they will hover, say, low to the ground, but they'll stay generally in the same place because they're creating a microwave link point to point, so they're kind of stuck in that position for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So if the sphere was higher, and the plane hit it, then there's a good reason probably why it didn't move.
You think an EMP would take them down? If they're using that type of tech?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I know that the spheres were all over. Was it Heathrow? Or
right.
About a year ago.
It was on the tarmac and then just shot up. Apparently.
Well, no. Even before then, they went over. They blamed drones at the time, but
there was this one image that was circling around of like this literal sphere.
Yeah, there were these. There was a story where 2 airports in the UK were locked down pretty much at the same time. I think one was Gatwick and one was Heathrow.
Right.
And they blamed drones, but the military went in there with all their toys and they couldn't knock them out.
Right.
And these drones, I mean, the average drone has a flight time of maybe 30 minutes, and then it has to land. Even if you got like a stack of batteries, you have to be within that kind of radius, and then you got to replace the batteries, put it back in again. But these things were there for hours and hours. So these things aren't commercial drones. And the military wouldn't be flying drones over commercial airspace. So the army went in there and couldn't find anything. When they got close, they disappeared, and then they came back again.
Yeah, but I mean that does,
What I think is happening is that the sphere network will lock down particular areas sometimes. If there is a threat in the air, general airspace, they will lock down the air traffic.
Sure. To not interfere with what they have going on.
Yeah, you stay down there while we deal with this.
But I mean, this gets incredibly complicated when we talk about China and Russia's capabilities as well. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Are they also working in tandem with these things, or are they aware of it? Like,
I don't know.
It would have to be.
So, regarding, I mean, they were trying to say that the drones over New Zealand, over New Jersey, were Chinese drones, but it doesn't make any sense because you need to have a power source on that drone.
Mm-hmm.
So is it going to fly all the way to China on a lithium battery?
Yeah, they said it was emanating from the ocean at one point, like some Iranian vessel or something was like the narrative, I think.
I think if there was a Iranian vessel launching drones into U.S. airspace, the U.S. would react very quickly.
I would think so too.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had also last year the big flap at Langley Air Force Base, home of the most F-22 fighters. You know, that's like arguably one of the biggest protected military establishments or Air Force establishments in the United States. And yet for 17 days, there were things hanging in the sky.
Yeah. So the power source, that China can't replicate those power sources.
Yeah.
Or can Russia. I mean, there are things called nuclear batteries, but they're huge and they're heavy and they don't produce the output. So the other option is lithium or it's fuel cell, both of which are limited and they need to be refueled or replaced. So the power, the energy technology just isn't there, especially from China or Russia. Russia, you know, people talk about Russia as like some sort of superpower. I mean, yeah, they're a nuclear superpower, but they're not doing very well in Ukraine.
Tech, yeah.
You know,
oh, right.
So they're not militarily as powerful as people think. Nor is China.
Yeah, there's that argument of like nobody wanting to show their hand.
Yeah.
But also at the end of the day, I mean, that you could say that about anything.
I mean, the truth is the only country in the world that has the resources to reverse engineer or capitalize on UAP technology is the US, because it's got the budget.
Yeah, and they've been doing it for a long time.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, they're showing up at all these crashes all around the world too.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, when the New Jersey drones are, as I said, it's a big portion of it is a sphere network because of the formations that are repeating. And then they've been monitored by US drones. It's that simple.
Fascinating stuff, man. This is really, really interesting. What's something that you looked at in the past other than videos that has convinced you a little bit more about this narrative?
Well, my experience inside 30 East Drive and all the haunting stuff and the patterns and or what I call machine patterns. Also, I figured out how to trigger poltergeist activity as well in the building.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. In fact, there's a competition out there. Like if you can prove like paranormal activity or something, we'll give you like £100,000.
Yeah, $1 million. James Randi.
The
amazing like Randy.
And I contacted them, and I sent my video, and they said, "Oh, no, you've got to have magic powers to do it." I was like, "What?" So I said, "Look, I haven't got magic powers, but I do know technically how to do it." And they said, "Oh no, you got to do it via magic psychic powers." So they kind of changed the goalposts on that one.
They do that though.
Yeah. So yeah, but in a nutshell, how it works is if you put a pram at the top of the stairs in 30 East Drive, and you put a doll in it, and it will be thrown down the stairs literally once or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week.
Why?
Because the AI is trying to.
It hates babies.
No, it's trying to. It's just trying to move you away.
Right.
So it's.
I see.
I think.
Well, that's interesting.
So how it models out is like this: is the Type 3 spheres are producing high energy emissions, gamma radiation and microwave radiation, or microwave signaling to be specific, and then you have a thing called spontaneous human combustion.
That's what I wanted to get into next.
Yeah. So if you look at pictures of people who have had this happen to them, their hands are just sit here like relaxed. Like if you were on fire, you would be like this. You'd be
running around the house.
Yeah, you'd be trying to fight the fire. But what's happening is it's happening so fast that the brain isn't responding. So you're just sitting there.
Vaporized.
Yeah. And so what can replicate that? Well, it's high energy gamma radiation, high energy microwaves. So what it appears to be, I mean, there's only been 200 cases of spontaneous human combustion. I think it's approximately 200. And there hasn't been any recent cases of it, but there was a period of time when it was. And the way I look at it is that it almost looked like there was some sort of software upgrade that went out and then retracted,
Right.
Because
like a patch.
Yeah. And so you got
got the new expansion, the new exploding body expansion. Like, well, maybe we dial that one back a little bit.
So it's like you have the Type 3s in the building that when they need to relay, instead of producing very high energy emissions, they produce poltergeist activity to move you away, and then they broadcast. But if you happen to stay in it or close to it, you either get a dose of radiation, or you get a dose of spontaneous human combustion. That's what it appears. That's what it bottles out as.
Yeah, they're like, malfunction. Someone's here. They're not moving.
Yeah.
Vaporized.
Yeah, it looked
completely.
like a dodgy software patch that maybe made it too aggressive or something. And
Yeah, I have no explanation for that. Like, I mean, there's no other. That's the thing. Like, that's one of the things that stuck out. I remember reading those books as a kid. You're flipping through these books and you just see this giant burn mark on a sofa. Nothing else is burnt around it. Just this one, shadow of a human.
Yeah.
Or like their legs are still there.
Yeah.
Or like some really strange.
So it's basically directional. It's not like taking your whole body. It's just it's a directional beam.
Yeah.
And if you look at the wall behind, when you can actually see like a burn mark. Looks like a cross or something, where it looks like almost like a laser beam's gone through them, and they've caught on fire quickly and burnt out and burnt the wall as well.
What other paranormal?
Just to back up a bit,
Yeah, go ahead.
This is why in poltergeist activity they cause fires. It's the same thing. It's
Right.
microwave radiation, gamma radiation.
Pyrokinesis.
Yeah, it's causing fires.
Oh, that would make you run to another room.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And so would throwing your baby down the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not it's not a pleasant thought, but it's if you do that, it will trigger multiple times. In fact, there was about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago or something, there was I was in 30 Years Drive, and 3 major poltergeist effects occurred. The same event happened 3 times. I got it to replicate 3 times. That night there was meteorites exploded over the UK. So it's kind of thinking, okay, when in my mind, when you're having poltergeist effects, it means a network is at work, is producing signaling and emissions and so forth. And then you got these meteorites exploding over the UK the same night, within hours. So you're thinking, okay, that to me looks like they were intercepting that.
Are there more of these correlations between like perhaps famous crashes and hauntings? Are there any other examples where you're like, oh, this is the day that this happened, but also something else?
Not at the moment,
Yeah.
but
that's an interesting place to look.
Yeah, I mean, I can start correlating that maybe, but
What other paranormal events can be linked to this sphere theory?
So when I was doing my testing, I noticed I set up a test where I stuck a GoPro camera on a picture, and or like a glass pitch, that like a glass surface, and this was using like a proper GoPro adhesive, so it was really strong. Like you couldn't get the damn thing off if you tried. And I put it on there, and I went outside, and I had a flash in my literally like a vision in my head of looking at it, like clear as a bell, like I'm looking at you, clear as a bell. And once I saw it, and literally like that, it flew down the stairs and hit the ground, like
Whoa.
popped off the wall, like poof. So that's like totally against physics. And I don't know how it was done, because you look at it, it looked like it was, the adhesive was neutralized or something. I don't know, but it literally just popped off like a cork. And so it's like they can look at something and sort of send a signal to your brain, and you can see it as a vision, something like that. So it's like they can send you signals and you can see it as a vision. It kind of like correlates with like religious texts, because people are having visions. They have visions of something and then they write about it. So maybe.
So there might be a possibility they can interface with your mind somehow and project thoughts and imagery to allow you whatever it takes to get you out of that room or to get you away from the emissions that they're throwing your way.
Yeah, or to maybe let you know that they're annoyed with you about something. It seems to be they appear to have that ability.
Right. So if you're in the way of their path, and if you just hold fast, you're saying you'll probably end up sick, or you'll probably end up, there'll be activity all around you, and you'll probably end up ill.
Yeah. In fact, the sad truth is mental illness is rampant in the paranormal community. It's rampant. People don't want to admit it, but that's the truth. The biggest where it's all gone wrong a little bit is the UFO community hasn't spoken or don't engage with the paranormal community. And
not so much.
Yeah, because they're set in their minds that this is all dead people and spirits,
right?
And then you have the UFO community who are very skeptical and aliens and stuff.
Yeah,
so they don't really cross bridges very much. But that's what I kind of did. I crossed the bridges and then trying to figure out the connections.
Like a unifying theory.
Yeah, and. But yeah, that's the sad truth. There's a lot of mental illness in the paranormal community.
Were you always interested in this sort of stuff?
No.
What initiated your interest in here? Did you have an event?
Yeah. It's quite a funny one looking back. I mean, I grew up in a UFO hotspot, and it just became normal, really.
Roswell?
No, in Cambridge, and like a little village in Cambridge, and I used to walk home at night. And see these like golf, like basketball size, not basketball, baseball size, like glowing pearls of light. I used to call them, just going over the streetlights, and I didn't know what they were. I just used to see them, and I was like, oh, And it used to be on a regular schedule as well. It used to be like every Friday night around about 11 o'clock. And they probably still do, to be honest. I just haven't been there at the time, but. I used to see them, I would say once every 3 weeks, something like that. And then, I had some paranormal experiences, I suppose. Like I was around my friend's house, and he had like a middle flat, like it was like a big house, and the middle section was his flat, and the one above was empty, and the one below was a workshop. And we'd be sitting there playing PlayStation, and late at night, and you'd hear. Like people stumping across the ceiling.
Above you.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, who's up there? It's probably got, someone's broken in or something. And you go up there, there's no one there. And happened multiple times. And then, I also had a funny one where I went down to the local village, like a pub. There's like a little social club. And I was actually waiting for it to open. It was like 7 o'clock in the evening. It was like late summer. And I was just sitting on the swing, minding my own business, really. And I was just looks over to the left and saw this guy literally about 30, 40 feet away from me, something like that, in a monk outfit. And he had his hood up and it's all buttoned up. And I thought it was just like a local nut job who was trying to take the piss.
Yeah.
He was having a joke. So I just started shouting at him, like, what are you doing, you twat?
Yeah.
What are you doing, you idiot? And just stood there like a statue. And so I had a laser pointer in my pocket. At the time, they were all the rage, and I had like a little red laser pointer, and I put a laser on the ground. And I remember it going on the grass and then going up his leg onto his chest and into his face. But he had like a hood up.
Yeah.
And it was just like a black mass where his face was, just like a big black mass. And I put it right in his face like this, because this wasn't like a 10-second experience.
Yeah.
This went on for about 2 minutes. And I had it like that, going, like that in his face, trying to get a reaction out of him. Just stood there like a statue. And in fact, when the laser hit the face, it went half as brightness, which was weird. I was like, oh, that's weird, because it was bright on the ground, really bright, and then real dim. So I jumped up and I decided, because this is like my hometown, my home village, where I grew up, and it's almost like he's intruding in my back garden kind of thing. So I just like, fuck you, I'm going to have a look at you. So I jumped up and I started walking towards him. And I got within, 10 feet maybe, just disappeared.
No way.
Yeah. And that kind of got me a little bit. Cause it was
a little bit?
Yeah.
I'd be shitting my pants.
I was like, ooh. I was like a little bit uneasy. But I thought, okay.
Because that's not uncommon it's funny because I was just reading about a case yesterday, but we had John Ramirez here, who is, ex-CIA signals intelligence guy, who said that multiple times he'd have these hooded beings wearing these robes in his room, like these monk robes. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
The monk robes shows up a lot.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I never knew.
Oh, my God, it is. Yesterday I was reading a case on Peter Curry, Australian guy who's had, a run-in with some like hybrids trying to seduce him. It was a whole story. He had DNA evidence, by the way, of this. Like he had a strand of their hair. But prior to that, yeah, beside his bedside, he had, again, these hooded, robed figures. I can probably cite 5 or 6 off the top of my head that all have monk robes.
No, I never knew that.
And a varying number of species underneath them, from mantis to reptilian to gray to like gorilla type. Very strange. But so many people report. There's a few different uniforms that people report during abductions. There's like your typical onesie with like a belt and an insignia uniform type deal. There's military garb. There is lab coat stuff, but then there's the robes, and the robes are very, very prevalent in ufology. So yeah, you should look into it. It's
I never knew that.
You might have you might have been shining the light in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because I just went to after I saw that and it disappeared, I just went to the local pub and it was opened, and I just said to the locals, the pensioners who just worked the land and stuff. So I just thought I saw a guy over there dressed in a robe or something, and he went, "Oh yeah, that's the Mad Monk. He haunts here." I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
and I'd never heard, and I haven't seen it since or before that or since. So that was like a one-off, very distinct event. But that's what kind of got me interested, and it just kept bugging me. And the thing is that over the years, so I started watching like paranormal TV shows, the mainstream stuff. Like in the UK, we had. What was it called? Most Haunted, and US got Ghost Adventures, but none of it gelled with me. None of it made any sense. I mean, coming from like a technical background and IT and stuff, I was like, "Look, what are you talking about?"
Yeah, ghosts wasting their time knocking over flowers. Like, what are you doing?
And I had to love. There was one case. I forget what TV show it was. It was one of those where this family were reporting a haunting in their house, and so. The story at the beginning was some guy died there, as it always is, right?
Yeah.
But then after they did some research, they found out that no one died there. So this paranormal team, this famous paranormal team, were like looking all confused.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they got in their car and went down the road to find another house where someone happened to die, and said, "Oh, we think it's this guy who just drops by," and bollocks. Bullshit.
Yeah, that's funny. Because then it would look like a hoax if there's no dead body.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And the thing is that the problem with the mainstream paranormal is that it's the same. There's no real investigation. It's a ghost train ride where you go into and go boo, and then you run out the other end, and nothing really happens. And they come up with some history, and then they go to the next location. But the problem is that because you're not dealing with dead people, you're dealing with these spheres, right? Type 3 spheres, and they're producing these emissions. They have a negative effect on your health. And a lot of these people, these ghost hunters and stuff, they're now, either cognitively or physically impacted by the emissions. But obviously they blame demons.
Do you think Havana syndrome could have something to do with this?
Yes. So,
because you had the Cuban Missile Crisis, which it might be a reason for the spheres to be present.
So I'll tell you a story. So what it appears to be is that the Type 3 spheres, they have obviously a very exotic propulsion system, and they appear, how it models out at least, to have like a radiation effect, have some sort of radiation byproduct.
Sure.
The problem is that we can't detect it, right? And I say this because people have taken stones off the drive, off 30 East Drive, and they take them home, and their house becomes crazy active. And they send those stones back in the post, with a letter saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry."
Wow.
Yeah. And you wouldn't believe, I didn't believe it.
What's the reason there?
So what I think is happening is that the Type 3 is obviously producing like a radiation byproduct, which is contaminating everything from the stones to the objects in the building.
But an undetectable radiation byproduct.
I think so.
Right.
And then when it's being moved to another location, the the type 3s in the area can detect it, and then what they're doing is they're performing scarecrow actions around the objects to force people to get rid of it.
Keep you safe.
And in fact, I think that like old occult practices used to have noticed this behavior. And what they used to do is take objects from these buildings and put them in other people's houses. Like they would put them under the house.
Under the bed.
Under the beds or under the bed. And back then it was a curse.
Yeah.
You know.
Huh.
And I think that's where they kind of got it from.
Oh, like cursed items would have been, would just have been some type of radioactive material.
Yeah. And there was there's another case I heard of, which is actually in my book, the first one, where this family, they bought a bed, like a bunk bed, wooden one, and it was like a secondhand one,
mm-hmm.
and they put it in the kids' room, and the kids all started screaming and saying,
someone died in that bed.
The kids all started screaming, saying they're hearing voices and things are moving around in the room and stuff, and they're panicking. So the parents stayed in the room, and they saw the same thing. So they got rid of the bed, they burnt it, got rid of it, all stopped.
Yeah.
So if the bed is contaminated with this radiation, and then the spheres go in there and tell people to go away, then and then you get rid of the bed and it all stops.
Right.
So that appears to logically connect.
That's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. Like, I mean, you've opened up a whole new world of exploration, which I think is really commendable and really fun, as a researcher to look into, because we're often, turning stones that have been turned over 1,000 times and reading old cases. But, it's part of the fun for me is looking at these old cases through a new lens regarding, if we have new information, namely some whistleblower comes out, taking that information and holding it up against all of these other previous cases and how it correlates. This just adds to that a little bit more, I think. And it creates, if nothing else, it creates just a valid theory that we can now apply until perhaps it gets broken because the next theory comes along. But this is really, it's really compelling.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is that the sphere network itself is creating the same formations all around the world. It's the same mathematical process.
Right.
And from the formations itself, it's possible to reverse engineer mathematically what they're doing. And they're doing a thing called trilateration, which is a mathematical process of targeting objects in space.
Yeah, it's how we do it. It's how they would do it.
Yeah.
But it also seems like this evolves, obviously, like you'd mentioned, like some type of patch update. The material perhaps evolves. Everything optimizes just like you would if you were in war or, a warlike scenario. You would continuously update and upgrade your fleet.
Yeah, I think like any network of deployment, you have the new stuff and the old stuff.
Yeah.
It's a blend. So you'll see some spheres that look a little bit different than others. Like there's one out there, like a cube in a sphere.
Yes.
That one. But, I mean, that one appears to act like the Type 2 because it's always like at that kind of altitude and it sort of hangs around like that. I think, again, so you've got the old and the new. And I think the older stuff is slightly bigger and maybe chunkier, I suppose, and the newer stuff is more streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
But they all seem to have they all operate the same roles. So you have the Type 3s that are in the buildings, you have the Type 2s that are above the tree lines, and then you have the Type 1V formations.
Do you think, we're in hypothetical territory at this point, visitors coming from the outside are also deploying and sending drones here?
Highly likely.
And then our drones are just interacting with their drones? Because a lot of these bodies, again, they don't have genitalia, they seem like biological drones.
Highly likely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we would do. I mean, if you look at robotics now with like the Tesla bot, for example, give that another 10 years.
Sure.
That would be, I know that Elon's sending them to Mars.
Yeah.
So
great.
We would do the same thing,
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm just trying to think back on like all these different scenarios and all these different morphologies or, sort of phenotypes of like all these aliens and how that would work. Like, because if you look at the 1970s, like generationally and even through the decades, the species have changed, right? So the modern phenomenon started with the crash in Roswell due to, a lot of the nuclear testing that was being done there. And then from there, we started seeing these type 1, type 2 EBEs, which are these either big black eyes, short guys, or like always the big bulbous heads and these little creatures. But then as you move into the 60s and 70s, we're starting to get humanoid-looking species. We're getting the tall blondes, large foreheads, benevolent fish bowls on their heads for some reason, wearing blue tights, flying saucers, that whole deal. And then after that, you go into the 80s and 90s. Now it's like purely gray. All grays, no genitals. I keep talking about, I'm not obsessed with their genitals, which I think is an interesting, physiological trait. But we see this, right? Mm. And now into the 2000s, it's more of this hybrid talk. Mm. So I'm just trying to figure out how the spheres fit into all of that.
Well, all I can say from a technical point of view is that we found spheres in these buildings, the Type 2s and the Type 1b formations, and they keep replicating. In fact, I would say it's the only data out there UAP data out there that replicates.
It's constant.
Constant, yeah. And I think when Beatrice can do more data analysis on what's happening in the atmosphere, she'll probably find the same thing. I mean, that's my opinion. But
that's your opinion.
I can't speak for her, but that's my opinion. I'm 99.9% sure you're going to find triangles.
You're very high conviction that this is what we're dealing with.
But regarding all the other stuff, like the different groups and stuff, I have no idea.
Yeah, because there is circumstantial evidence in sort of stories essentially of all these other things that does paint a picture as well. So what percentage of the phenomenon do you think is due to the system that you're talking about?
I would say the sphere network is responsible for about 90% or 80% of paranormal effects.
Because
poltergeists are the most common.
Sure.
They're definitely obviously the Type 2s are there, and the V formations are seen everywhere. So yeah, I mean, from a data point of view, it is pretty constant. As I said, regarding the other groups and what people are seeing, I really don't know.
Yeah, you're not ruling it out. You're just saying
I don't know.
It could be multi-tiered.
It could be. Yeah,
yeah, that's what I think too.
It could be. It could be very multicultural. It's highly likely. I don't know, but I mean, one thing I can kind of say is the image in the book I got. So I kind of figured, okay, well, if this is like an ultraterrestrial group doing this, where do they live? Where are they? So I found a woodland in the UK where they've had lots of reports of paranormal activity. So I kind of thought, well, maybe that's the Type 3s playing games down there and seeing what's going on. So the woodland is very distinct because there's a tunnel that it funnels through. So in order to get into the woodland, you've got to go through a tunnel. So I went to that tunnel, and it's a good 15-minute hike into the woods. And we set up our cameras there, and I kind of created what they call a dog whistle as well.
Sure.
Which I've made public, and people are getting good results with it. So I set that up as well.
What is the dog whistle consist of?
So there's two of them. One is like a strobe, and the other one is binary code.
Okay.
Yeah, and but we can talk about that in a minute. So what we did was we were filming in this tunnel, and some of the sensors went off, but we didn't see anything, didn't feel anything, nothing. So went home, looked at the footage, and the footage is it was at 60 frames a second, 4K. 2K, 60 frames a second. And we saw something like a figure. And when boosted up, you see what looks to be like a large grey kind of guy with big teardrop eyes. And he walks up to the strobe, looks down, looks at us, and carries on walking.
Wow.
And when you do the calculations, this was all captured in about 10 frames or at 60 frames a second. So you think, okay, well, how does this work? How can something be that fast? So the only thing I can kind of compute is these guys are using a form of localized time dilation, which means that they can like press something on their watch or something like that. And it creates like a bubble of time around them, like a distortion. And we're all in freeze frame.
Yep.
We're like in freeze frame, like this. And they're just walking around, and it's all happening between the frame rate of our eyes.
Yeah.
And I think this is why, when to think about it, that's probably the perfect defense. If you're going to walk around, the shaved monkeys, that's what you would use because nothing can touch you. You can walk between bullets.
Yep.
Being fired at you,
like the old adage of when where Neo becomes the one, he's like, you won't need to dodge the bullets anymore.
No, that's right, and that's what it appears to be, and it's a crazy way to perceive it, but because to do that, the technology to do that, and the energy to do that is off the scale, but that's what it appears to be, and it kind of explains a couple of things because there are people who are experienced hunters. Who go out into the woods and they disappear. And it's like, if you happen to be in their territory with a gun and they cross you, they cross your path, you won't even see them coming.
No, it'll be over in a second.
You wouldn't even...
Spontaneous combustion.
Well, they can come up, look at you in the face and walk off and you wouldn't even see it.
Sure.
And I think this is why people go missing in these woodland areas.
So like the missing 411.
There's also an interesting thing as well. You might notice on the internet now a lot of videos of people who go camping in woodlands to be woken up late at night and people walking around their tent.
Yeah.
And it's like in the middle of nowhere,
Yep.
And it freaks them out so much they get off and run. I think if you're camping in their territory, then they're going to tell you to go. Because one thing I noticed in the image is that the size of the eyes are very, very large, and very large pupil as well, which replicates the animals that are nocturnal.
Right.
So these guys are probably nocturnal.
See in the dark,
and they see in the dark as clear as we see in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's highly likely that they operate at night and we have the day.
There's a lot of cases of all of that, especially with the gray types, where the time dilation thing is very, very real. I mean, there's so many cases. There's a guy in Chile, forget what his name was, but he was with a group of 6 people, military guy, disappeared for 15 minutes, came back with a 4-day-old beard.
Wow.
And the watch said 4 days later, too, on his watch. There was a lady who, I think during her abduction, she witnessed the grass growing between her toes. There was, if you look at Ariel phenomenon, the children looking at the beings that were up on the craft, floating on the craft and jumping, they were moving in slow motion. They were described, but there's other people witnessing beings aboard crafts that are moving, like glitching, like moving super fast. And so again, this time dilation thing, I mean, even if you look at Bob Lazar, Bob did tests with the amplifier, the gravity amplifier, and when they were able to focus this gravity amplifier on a single point, they would put a candle in there, and the candle didn't flicker, yet it emitted light.
That's right.
It just froze.
Which is very strange.
So, that technology would, obviously not only be present in the propulsion system, but all of their other, military tech that they're using to, remain stealthy or whatever. One
thing, what happened when we're doing our dog whistle test. So the strobe, what it does, it's a coded strobe. And it is designed to trigger the response of spheres. So what it really means is that you can go to, say, up a hill. And that's what we did. We went 3,000 feet up a hill in Manchester. And there's no phone signal. There's no one there. It's like you could be on the moon. It's that remote. And you switch the strobe on, and within 15, 20 minutes, you're picking up strange voices on your camera.
Right.
You're getting weird electronic effects. Poltergeist activity starts happening, like stones thrown against walls. People are seeing shadows go by. But one thing stands out is that it all goes very quiet.
Yeah.
There's
No crickets, nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
Which is time dilation,
Right.
because you're literally being slowed down, and all the animals just go quiet.
I did a podcast with a guy named Darren Bousman, who's here. He was the director of Saw 2, 3, and 4. Big horror fan, right? Obviously. He's done a whole bunch of horror films, but he did this one movie called 11/11, and he shot it in near Barcelona in Spain, and he rented this old house. And when he wanted the house, the caretaker was like, "No, not this one. You know, you got to find another house." He's like, "No, this is the house I want. It's an old Victorian house by the sea, beautiful." And so the caretaker takes him there. He doesn't go inside. He's like, "You can go ahead. You can go inside." And he's like, "No, this is perfect." And it was actually, and there's books up here. I have UMO. It was a place, a gathering place for people to get together to discuss the papers of UMO. UMO was this, these thousands of papers spread across Europe. Apparently, these aliens were communicating physics, sociology, psychology, all of their knowledge to humans. And they would get together and read this stuff. Super bizarre stuff. But he got a super eerie feeling while he was there. He's like, "Oh, there's, the girl died in the basement. They buried her body." Like the whole, the paranormal lore that exists. But the day they got there, first of all, half the crew got sick. Like ill. His wife took one of the symbols off, and she, that night was in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Throwing up, fever, like so many people. But not only that, at one point, there's a guy that come in and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" One of his friends, and right where he was standing, the chandelier drops right where he was. Like there was, in the actual movie, the shutters in the back of the house raise up. Those shutters were tied. You had to do it from the outside, and they were tied down and nailed. Like they didn't touch those shutters. And in the shot, so people thought they were there was a practical joke happening. And then finally, there was an incident where they were editing in the editing room, and they had to scrap a whole take because there was like just some random screaming. And they're like, "We were filming this. Nobody would have been screaming. We would have yelled cut." But there was some audio bleeding. So a lot of this paranormal, which I'm thinking now, is really interesting. So and that house was known to be haunted. So that might have and it was by the sea. It was right in front of the ocean.
Yeah.
So you think about that.
But that sounds like the type 3s were operating from there, because the sickness would be radiation sickness. EVPs are actually produced by the type 3s. I'll tell you how.
EVP, the voice stuff.
Yeah. I'll tell you how I figured this out is, so I noticed that from the recordings I had at 30 East Drive and my own house as well, because it followed me home as well. I noticed that it was snippets of sound that were blended together. Right. So if you can imagine like a machine sampling, say, 2 words of a TV show. Yeah. And then it will sample some other words, some other words, and it blends them all together. And then when you put that through an audio package to really look at the waveform, you notice the errors. It's like an AI that is cutting up bits of audio and then reconstructing it to then give you a message. And the interesting, it does it very fast. It does it really fast, but it's rough. And also, it's what's interesting is when these guys go to haunted buildings and they say, "Oh, this has been haunted for 500 years like a castle," but they're getting EVPs that are in English. Right. Like current English language, not like old-fashioned language. Right. It's because they're sampling the current noises.
Yeah, the AI is updated.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You see, so that's and what it appears to be is so the spheres are producing like a directed radio wave that is going onto the circuit of the recorder or the camera, which has been picked up as electronic crosstalk.
Right, so you're not actually hearing it.
So we can't hear it, but it's been picked up on the circuit, and that's why the cameras pick it up.
That's cool. I'm going to tell him that. He's going to get a kick out of this episode too. It's been a big thorn in his side for a while. And funny synchronicity, he called me the other day, and he was in a I think he went to like Palm Springs or something, and his wife speaks Spanish or Catalan, and they were having a conversation with this couple beside them that was also, the gentleman was also from Spain. He's like, oh, I'm from Barcelona. And the guy goes, yeah, I just watched this podcast about Umo. And he watched his podcast. It was like a whole synchronous event that happened, but very interesting stuff. Patrick, I'm going to go turn on the camera back here, and we're going to do some audience questions.
Okay.
All right. So for those that are new here, joining the membership not only gives you access to so many things, we got movie night, we got extra episodes, we got all this stuff, but it also allows you to have a chance to ask our guest some deep, meaningful questions. So pull that up now. First one here. Now, a few of these I didn't write the names for because the questions were a little too long, but this one was from Picture a Secret Tunnel. That's his name, and there you go. And he writes, do you think the spheres could be hacked and used against us?
Well, any machine or any system can be hacked, but it's probably highly unlikely that we could be able to do it. Highly likely that it's highly encrypted. So probably it is technically possible, but unlikely.
Unless it's some other hyper-advanced civilization doing the hacking?
Potentially, yeah.
Ooh, ominous answer. Again, I'm sorry if I don't name you because we had I think it's 142 characters max on these things, and I don't have room to put people's names. This one I think is from Halsan, our moderator on our Discord channel. And he says, how do you distinguish if an electronic malfunction is true paranormal influence or just an error or technical fault? So, meaning when you're getting some type of signal or mixed signal, is there any way for you to distinguish between, what could be considered like a prosaic, normal, technical error, or it's them? Is there any signature that you're looking for specifically?
No, I mean, all you really see from an observable position is the paranormal or poltergeist effects. If it's an error or not, I don't know.
There's no way of distinguishing.
Well, there probably is. I mean, if you had radiation and microwave detectors in the building and there wasn't any signals flying around and it was doing it anyway, I mean, maybe that could be an error.
A technical error, I see.
Yeah, maybe. But in order to do that, you need a good sensor array around the building. And then you'd need a database to record all that data.
Right.
Then you'd need AI to analyze that data and then to come up with patterns. Or
what's your optimal setup then? Let's go down here. Let's say, okay, you got $1 billion, and I want you not only to unequivocally prove that this is a real phenomenon. I want to take one of these things down. I want to get them on every single intelligence gathering platform that I have. Where do you go and what do you do?
So first you have to set up a monitoring system. So you would put up sensors in every single very active building in the country.
Okay.
They would then connect to a Postgres database, which would then have collect data for maybe 6 months, something like that. Then you'd have AI to run against it to look for patterns and processes. From those patterns, then you can try and reverse engineer what they're doing. If it's encrypted, if it's not, it might just be numbers, telemetry data. It's hard to say. And then what you do is you would then do signal warfare. So you would inject your own signal into it to then provoke an action.
By using what their patterns were, you'd be able to replicate it.
That's right. In fact, Skinwalker is, I know from Skinwalker that when they do their tests, I think it's because we picked up 1.6 gigahertz.
Really?
Yeah, and 1.72 gigahertz inside that east drive, burst relaying.
Well,
exactly as effects were actually occurring in the building as well, which matches what's happening at Skinwalker. So it's the same type spheres at Skinwalker as it is in that east drive. And what they are recorded at Skinwalker is when they artificially produce the 1.6 gigahertz. I think this is true. They're getting a signal back. Like they're sending one and they're getting one back. So in my mind, what you do is you would say, okay, that's like a trigger. So that's like they're sending an action, they're getting a response. So what you do is you record the response, and you basically have your AI in Skinwalker trying to talk to their AI. So you send a signal, get a response. Oh, try another signal, get a response, and you let the two AIs start talking to each other, and that's how you would kind of break into it, or kind of start cooperating with it, or whatever you want to communicate with it. Doing big fireworks in the sky, this is good for the cameras, but doesn't really do any good.
Sure. Okay.
But you could theoretically do the same to any haunted building as well. As long as you have an array of sensors and record the data, you can start finding the code and the protocols and start injecting your own signals into it.
Cool. I would love to see that happen.
Oh,
maybe in our lifetime. This is from Tess, I believe. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting this right. Tess writes, what's the most probable morphology of the ultraterrestrial subsurface species controlling the network of spheres?
Well, in order for the sphere network to operate, it needs underground servers and networks which are kept up to date. It's probably all hidden in plain sight, inside mountains. In fact, there's been footage recently of spheres coming out of mountain sides as well. And so it appears to be all in plain sight.
So what does that mean? What's their morphology then? What does that point to? What species are we dealing with according to what we know? What does it point to?
Well, they're probably just much smarter versions of us.
So hominid.
Yeah.
Human looking,
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, but just probably much smarter level. The thing is,
so like some breakaway civilization that's been here for a longer time, you think?
I think they've been here since the beginning.
Right.
I think what it is so how it models out is the spheres are like level 1 and 2 defense, right? So you might have the ones in space, and you have the ones in the atmosphere as well. But then you have us that are on the surface, right? Which makes us the third line of defense, right? So
not a very good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the brightest of ideas or the most nicest of ideas. But the you gotta let's look at humans. We are hybrids of primates, right? So what's the point of making a hybrid of a primate? Well, a primate is very strong, very fast, and very survivable, very aggressive as well. So what we are is an aggressive or an aggressive, intelligent primate, right? So if you want a third line of defense, you'd want something like an intelligent monkey to protect the surface. And in fact, I think because if you look at the skill set of humanity as a whole, regardless of location or IQ level, we're all good at killing things. It's just the West is good at better at killing than other countries. But we're very good at killing things, and that's what it appears that we are the third line of defense. So if something crashes here, we are the ones who deal with it. We're the bigger, stronger versions of them. It's highly likely that they're much smaller than us and weaker, but smarter. But we're bigger and dumber.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
it's
it's
kind of like a meat shield.
Yeah, like a meat shield. And
I don't like that.
I know.
I'll be honest.
I
don't like that one bit.
But I think actually that the dinosaurs were the original.
The original meat shield?
The original. Because if a craft crashed on dinosaur Earth, back in those days, you wouldn't last very long.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's highly likely that due to the animalistic nature of the dinosaurs and predatory nature, that they were probably chasing down the ultraterrestrials as well. So because they're just aggression, pure aggression, right? So it's is, in my mind at least, we're the replacements.
Yeah, I do think the idea has legs, especially considering that you're safer underground.
Indeed, yeah, you can control the access point.
Yeah, and if you want to, have a longer lasting species, you would live underground.
Yeah.
No natural disaster is going to get you. No nuclear fallout is going to get you. No asteroid is going to kill you. A smarter species would have a less fun life.
Yeah.
A more optimal species would have a less fun life. But that also tells me that they might be AI themselves.
It's highly likely that they've also fused with AI.
Yeah. Because if, only AI would be like, it's optimal to be underground. And we're like, that human passionate spark that we have, we're like, yeah, but we can also enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah.
know.
But the problem with that is
unless they're aliens from the UK, in which case they don't mind so much.
I mean, the problem is that because we live on the surface and we produce all these high energy emissions that are going into space, we are announcing where we are exactly to trillions and trillions of solar systems with trillions and trillions of planets. And all it takes is one of them to say, "Oh, you have something we want." So I don't know. The odds are against us.
The dark forest theory.
Yeah. And I think that's why the Sphere Network is doing what it's doing. But also, I mean, the Sphere Network explains a few other things, like it explains the Fermi paradox. You say, where are all the aliens? Well, the network keeps the bulk of them out. Then it explains poltergeist activity and it explains spontaneous human combustion all in one.
Mm-hmm.
So it does tick a lot of boxes. But yeah, I mean, from the image I got from my tests, these guys are nocturnal, and because of the size of their eyes, and they will be suited underground because it's darker.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. We got one last one here, and this one is from Gina, I believe. It's a good question. Gina says, if Earth is protected by an intelligent ADT, which is like a security software, and humans are the criminal element, who installed it and when did the police arrive? So again, it kind of answers what we just went over.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that humans are a criminal element, but we serve a role. We have a role in the system.
Yeah.
In the same way that we don't talk to primates. I think these guys don't talk to us. And I think that's the block in politics as well. Like Trump said recently that he'd wish he could tell us, but it's not his decision, which means it's their decision. Because the thing is that if the average IQ of these guys is say 200, 250, what have they got in common with us? The average IQ on Earth is between 50 and 100. So we would not serve any purpose to them in their lives. In the same way a primate has no real purpose in the human domain other than being in the zoo.
Right.
So by that kind of logic, they probably just say, look, you perform a role, you're there to do a role for us, and we'll just carry on doing what we do. So the future for humanity, as I explain it in my book, is that we have to fuse with AI. It's non-negotiable. We have to do it. So what it does, the human brain is currently the manager and processor. Well, what will need to happen is the brain will become the manager, but the AI will become the processor. So it means that we can all jump up to like 250, 300 intelligence level, IQ level. When you jump up to those levels, then suddenly you're much more compatible with these other groups.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now you're smart enough. Now the gates will be opened because now I can talk to you as an equal.
Yeah. I get that. I get that from a logical, intelligent, sort of point of view, but I don't get it from a human perspective. That's the part that I fail to gel with, is this idea that in order to survive, we have to give up what makes us human.
Well, I don't know if we have to give it up. It just makes us smarter. I don't know. Maybe the smarter you get, the more cynical you become, or the more colder you become.
I think so.
Maybe.
If you look at computers, they don't really care. They feign, emotion.
Yeah.
Whereas, emotion drives a lot of our decision making, and that is part of our downfall. I do understand that, but also it is what makes us unique on this planet.
I mean, this is what Neuralink is all about, really. This is the main mission of Neuralink, because you're interfacing the brain to a high-speed interface to AI intelligence. That's the overall vision of it.
Yeah. Yeah, but also, I wonder, like, there's got to be, you know what I mean? Like, if that's all life is, just to prolong and extend our physical, existence, it seems a little silly, considering the vastness of the universe and space and time itself, that we're just trying to prolong this little blip that we're here for. It seems like whatever it is we're here for serves a greater role beyond the physical,
It could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, logically, it just maps out that way.
Yeah, right.
And, I do my best to keep away from emotional logic, because it's blurry. But the black and white cold logic in my head just models it out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think.
Yeah, but that also means you assume that their number one priority is survival. That's your assumption.
Well, I mean,
that might not be true.
I mean, they're saying that Mars was destroyed by a nuclear event.
Right.
Recently. They said, I think on the news the other day, that there's evidence to suggest that Mars was attacked by nuclear weapons. So maybe if maybe they are just worried about survival. Maybe it is that way. I think even President Trump said the space is a domain of war. So it could be that the night sky is, although as stunning as it is just like the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Where
a lot of dangers.
It's highly dangerous. Lots of animals, lots of predators, lots of all sorts.
Teeming with life. Yep. Yeah. I mean, the theory does answer questions, but it definitely sparks a whole new debate on so many more questions that are out there.
Oh, completely. But one thing I can say is that the work that's been presented in the book is testable. All it needs is money behind it.
Sure.
It's testable, it's verifiable, and it replicates. And if I can find data that replicates just with my own eyes, I'm sure with a budget I could find a lot more,
or perhaps with the help of the internet. There's we've got our own resources here, our extensive branch of people watching this video. Let me know in the comments, or hit me up in Discord, or even reach out to Patrick here if you yourself found evidence of this sphere network. I think it'd be interesting to pull up on the socials, whether it's Twitter or Instagram. Reach out, send us images of the spheres that landed in your backyard, or perhaps video footage of certain celestial objects exploding. I would love to see more of this. It's really interesting. Or even just some paranormal hauntings that you think can be explained with this. I think is a really worthwhile conversation to have at the very least.
I think so. And it's a breath of fresh air as well for the community, and for productions, TV, and so forth.
Definitely,
it's all been a bit stuck in the mud for the last 10 years.
Sure,
you know what I mean. So I think something new is needed.
Absolutely, and it's something that I'm definitely going to have to consider moving forward as well. So, Patrick, thank you so much for your time. I won't take up any more time here on In the Skiff, but I do appreciate you. Where can people find you?
I'm mostly on X.
Yep.
Account is Patrick Q Jackson. The Sphere Network. Just look it up.
Perfect. And I'll leave the link to the book in the description. You guys can check it out as well. Patrick, thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you very much.